Good morning. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to this Hump Day edition on this holiday shortened week of the Premarket Prep session. I'm your host here each and every day before the market opens at around 8:45 to 8:50 a.m. Right, depends on the day of the week, the alignment of the planets, whether or not I went on an extra long run or a quick short run. A lot of different variables, but generally, if you're here 8:45 a.m. to 8:50 a.m., we're here. We're getting things done. What type of things? Things that get us 1% better, right? Going over important market news, notes, analysis, expectations, which are everything, right? The market is based off of, the movements of algorithms, but also people like you and me. So making sure that you understand what expectations are and therefore what the gap in expectations is from reality, you can kind of gauge what the response will be, right? And that can help you anticipate markets and make sure that you are proactively positioned. Another thing that really helps is being able to read charts. So if you can't do that and you're not out here actively putting your money to work for you, make sure you email me, adam@adamhalleneducates.com, so you can learn and trade with us now, starting today. Other than that, we've got a big event, the first live teaching event of the year happening June 19th through 21st. If you're not already enrolled, make sure you're signed up for that at I'mBetterDaily.com. If you don't know anything about AI or how you could be using it to better yourself personally and professionally to make sure that you're not a statistic that's called out on the pre-market prep sessions as one of the layoffs at a major company, right? Then make sure that you're in there, right? Make sure that you're in there, you're locked in. That early bird pricing is going away soon because we are approaching June, and that is the month of the event. So lock in with us. Very, very excited for that. Anyways, let's get into what we have happening today. Like I said, it is a holiday shortened week, so we're not expecting any crazy type of volume. Any really big crazy moves. We've got semiconductors that are pushing, specifically Nvidia, headed kind of into the split. Um, Nvidia back up and setting new all-time highs. It hit that $1,000 mark, like I said it would a few months ago, and we're only pushing from there, right? As we kind of get this acceleration heading into the split. So, like I said previously, if you've got Nvidia longs, I'm not scared at all about those because those things will be a-okay. In terms of Wall Street breakfast news here, our top news, the energy boom, the consolidation wave in the oil and gas sector is not letting up, with ConocoPhillips agreeing to acquire Marathon Oil, ticker MRO, in a $22.5 billion all-stock deal. The latter was already climbing on reports overnight, but the deal's confirmation sent shares of MRO up 6% in pre-market trade. MRO is something that we've traded a lot. You guys are very familiar with it. If you're, a part of my community, you followed me for a bit. Footprint of ConocoPhillips will expand tremendously following the acquisition, with assets in Eagle Ford, the Bakken Formation, as well as Equatorial Guinea. Drill, baby, drill. The U.S. is currently producing over 13 million barrels of crude per day, which is way more than any other country on the globe, including Saudi Arabia. A lot of people don't know that. We just also use a lot more oil than anywhere else. So much that we have to order it from around the globe. But we are the world's largest oil producer. Again, if you follow me, you likely know that. The output growth has helped tame gas prices and, perhaps more importantly, undermined the influence of OPEC and Russia following the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. This has clashed with the Biden administration's clean energy agenda, though for the time being, inflation concerns and energy independence seem to be the top priorities, especially if they can be paired with climate spending towards the green transition. Producers also know that while times are good, demand can come down or eventually plateau, especially with the U.S. currently exporting more oil than nearly every member of OPEC. Bang, bang, right? Big US vibes, more oil than anybody, big Texas. One doesn't have to look too far to the 2014 and 2016 downturn, which hammered the industry and was largely driven by a supply cut. Boom bust cycles are normal for the oil sector, but many are preparing in advance this time around, turning to mergers and consolidation to squeeze more profits from their production and raise their competitiveness as the cheapest barrels on the market. Economies of scale deal making in the recent months have seen Hess shareholders approved a $53 billion sale to Chevron, as well as ExxonMobil's all-stock transaction for Pioneer Natural Resources, which was valued at $60 billion. It didn't stop there as energy-hungry companies look to snap up important resources despite increased threats to antitrust scrutiny. Endeavor Energy Partners confirmed a $26 billion offer from Diamondback Energy. Occidental Petroleum announced a $12 billion agreement to buy West Texas producer Crown Rock, while APA inked a deal to purchase small rival Callan Petroleum for $4.5 billion. I love this because this is important, right? What do you see right here in this line? Producers also know that while times are good, demand can come down or eventually plateau, especially in the U.S. especially with the U.S. currently exporting more oil than nearly every member of OPEC. So they understand, right? They don't have to look that far back to say, okay, there's a major change that is happening that could fundamentally affect our ability to put food on the table. Let's take action now. That's the exact same thing that we want to be doing as individuals. Everything that big companies do, companies are just organisms of a grander scale, right? We are people, we're organisms. We're made up of little parts that combine a whole, right? Same thing as a company, made up of little parts that combine a whole. And they have to game plan in order to make moves to make sure that that company can still bring home the bacon. We have to do the exact same thing. So when you look and you see these companies, they don't care that they're billion-dollar companies. You don't see ExxonMobil like, oh, we're worth this many billions. We don't need to move. We don't need to change with the times. We don't need to evolve. We don't need to learn AI, right? We don't need to learn about where the market is going. We don't need to do this. You know what happens to those billion-dollar companies? They go out of business, right? Look at Peloton. Look at WeWork. Look at any of the other literal, literal thousands and thousands of companies that have came and gone despite having unicorn valuations, right? You can have these crazy valuations. It does not matter if you're not moving and you're not changing. So when I look and I see companies like this that are making moves, that gets me excited because I'm also making moves. So it's like, yeah, I see you over there, ExxonMobil, making moves. I'm making moves too. I'm evolving as well. I'm not going to be the one that's sitting here stuck in the mud because it is a rare found, I don't know what it is, just an unfounded sense of privilege. If you think in this world, the way things are now, you're good with just sitting there and chilling. You're good with just sitting there and chilling. When a year and a half ago, ChatGPT couldn't create a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. It looked like something out of one of the seven layers of hell from Dante's Inferno, right? Seven circles. That's what that video looked like. And now that Sora from OpenAI makes video that's indistinguishable from real life. It's like if you think this is the time that you can sit tight, you can't. And it's the same thing with Chevron, ExxonMobil. They're not waiting till times get bad to make these changes. And I think that's something a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people feel comfortable where they're at, and they're like, if everything stays the same, I'm going to be good. Since when has everything stayed exactly the same? Right? Ever since 2020 and COVID hit, I feel like the only thing you can count on is that everything is going to change. And you have to be ready for when that happens. You don't just say, man, life is good right now. I'm going to coast for a little bit. Coast where? Right off the cliff, right? Because the landscape is changing each and every day. So I love this. These companies are making big, and they're also doing what? Investing in themselves. They're not going out and being like, man, we're just gonna look around and see. They said no. We need to consolidate. We need to bolster our ability to bring value to the marketplace, meaning we need to add pieces onto ourselves. Are we looking to go out and find these companies for free? No, we're going to go out to something that already has a successful track record that's demonstrated value. We're going to acquire that and bring that knowledge in. So there's so many different lessons just in this little snippet. This is why I love markets, because it's like amazing story time. But you can take these stories and leverage that knowledge for yourself. Like look deeper into it to see what it is. Oh yeah, big oil companies are buying other oil companies. No, these are giants. These are giants that are making moves. I don't know if you've seen the movie Mortal Engines, but they have like huge cities that are on wheels and they eat smaller cities and like use their resources. That's what this is, right? These are huge cities. These are organisms that are moving in a certain way that you want to take notes on, right? That you want to take notes on so that you can say, okay, cool. Because there are a lot of people who were cool 2 years ago, and now it's paycheck to paycheck, right? 6 months ago, good. Now paycheck to paycheck. Don't wait. Don't wait and say, okay, I'm cool where I'm at if everything stays the same, and then you wait for these changes to catch up with you. That's my big takeaway from this. So if you're not, again, I'm betterdaily.com. Go while the getting is good. If you're comfortable now, cool. That means you have the time to investigate how to evolve and get better. M&A news, end of pursuit. Speaking of merger activity, Anglo American has rebuffed BHP's request for even more time to discuss its takeover proposal. The news came just hours ahead of the deadline to finalize an agreement, signaling the potential end to BHP's pursuit of the British miner. Quote, BHP has not addressed the board's fundamental concerns relating to the disproportionate execution risk associated with the proposed structure and the value that would ultimately be delivered. In other words, they didn't propose a great deal. But I love the corporate speak, right? Disproportionate execution risk. Shares of BHP rose 2.7% in pre-market trade after the response. The reason why is because, again, you're like Adam. If BHP was trying to buy Anglo American and the deal didn't work out, wouldn't you expect the stock to go down? Not exactly. If BHP would have won out, that means they would have likely bid more than what this deal is worth, right? Because that's the only way the company is being acquired is going to take it. You got to make it a sweet deal for me. Well, if you make it a sweet deal for the company you're buying, that means it's kind of a bad deal for you as the company that's doing the buying. So shareholders like that, right? They like the fact that this deal didn't work because then they don't have to offer an arm and a leg, right? And potentially expose the company to failure via this big acquisition. So that's why whenever you see the company that's buying the other company, their stock goes down, the company that's getting bought, their stock goes up. And then if the deal falls through, the company that would have overspent to get that deal done, their stock goes up. Global news, to the polls, South Africans are voting in what is seen as the most pivotal general election since the end of apartheid, with polls indicating that the ruling African National Congress Party could lose its majority in parliament for the first time in 30 years. If that were to happen, the ANC would have to form a coalition with other parties to stay in the government. There is growing discontent among South Africans over the country's economic prospects. The unemployment rate remains above 30%, while there has been a rise in violent crime, power cuts, and the collapse of government services amid rampant corruption. Yeah, sounds about right. Stocks news, market cap leader, Nvidia shares jumped 7% on Tuesday, taking the AI darling's market value to 2.81 trillion, only 100 billion away from surpassing Apple, the second most valuable listed company. The stock also topped Interactive Brokers' weekly list of most active symbols and helped push the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite past 17,000 points for the first time. Nvidia shares have more than doubled in value this year, notching 4 monthly gains as investors continue to bet on the company's prospects after its stellar earnings. In contrast, Apple has been underperforming other big tech players, with its shares slipping 1.3% year to date. You've heard that. Nvidia shares have more than doubled in value this year. We are in month 5. If you're not involved in markets, I literally don't know what you're doing. Right? I don't know what else is more pressing, but it's not, because this is where you could do something as easy as just FOMOing into something that's already crushing it, and you'll be double your money, right, in terms of shares. In today's markets, mostly red here, except for a few green spots in Asia. Japan down 0.8%, Hong Kong down 1.8%, China up 0.1%, India up 0.9%. The FTSE in London down 0.2%. Paris down 1%, Frankfurt down 0.7%, the Dow down 0.6, S&P negative 0.6, Nasdaq down 0.7, crude oil up 0.8%, gold down 0.4, Bitcoin down 1%, around 67K, 68K. Nothing really important here this morning. No super important data or anything like that, so that's nice. Nothing to be worried about from that standpoint. In terms of some rapid fire bullet point stock news to round us out. What else is happening? WeWork co-founder drops restructuring bid. Robinhood launches $1 billion share buyback plan. Could mean some positive movement there for Robinhood. Resilient consumers prompt Kava to raise outlook. Amazon's Canadian workers will vote on labor union. Merck to buy eye care startup iBio for up to $3 billion. Turbulence as American Airlines cuts profit guidance. Alphabet talks for a HubSpot acquisition are true. So apparently HubSpot, could be acquired by Alphabet. T-Mobile is acquiring U.S. Cellular's wireless operations. Wheat hits highest since last July on Black Sea harvest worries. Mean no longer. Faraday Future gets non-compliance letter. So that'll do it. Stack us up, wrap it up, and take it out for this morning's pre-market prep session. We had a great session. Went over the important things, right, for what to keep an eye on here throughout this market week. Again, make sure that you understand the expectations coming into the week. Holiday shortened week, which means low volume. We had extremely low volume yesterday, right, especially in that first half of the day. So don't be out here chasing low volume moves when low volume moves are the ones that lack conviction, right? And they should be the last ones that you are chasing. Let all the wealthy finance guys get back from the Hamptons, right? And let them, that they'll be back next week. But as of right now, they're just getting back in town, right? They're not sitting in the Monday traffic, all that stuff. They're coming back on, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they're easing things on in and really getting it started back next week. So there's no way, no reason for you to be out here, trading your buns off during a time in which we have extremely low volume because there's not going to be much follow through in these moves. And if I had to guess, SPY is probably going to stay in this same exact range and probably end up with like a doji on the week, if I had to guess. Um, but yeah, that's where we're at with it, guys. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the week has for us, and I'm even more excited for what's happening in June 19th to the 21st. If you're not there, get there. iBetterDaily.com. We're locking in, getting better, and making sure that when we sit back there on the deathbed, we can say, wow, I tried it all. I did it all. I gave it my best and I kept up with the times. I earned this life that I got and I feel honored because of it. And all that aside, everybody have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.